up. Come here, rude boy, boy, you should big enough. Take it, baby, take it, stop it. Tonight I'ma let you be the captain. Tonight I'ma let you do your thing, yeah. Tonight I'ma let you be around.
Hi friends, dumelang Kiora, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Felicia Khunzi, the modest violinist, and I am back with another video. Today I am talking about my mindset shift moving from South Africa to New Zealand. Today I am having a cup of cappuccino.
Giddy up, babe. Tonight I'ma let it be fire. Tonight I'ma let you take me high.
When I moved to New Zealand, I realized that I had to unlearn a lot of things that are normal back home so I can start the new normal here. So without wasting any time, I'm gonna start with my points.
Tonight, baby, we could get it on, yeah.
The first thing I'm gonna talk about is being overly formal or overly polite. So basically, back home, if somebody is your boss or if somebody is an elderly person, you have to be extra polite, or which is regarded as being like respectful, and like you have to be very formal, like address them by say, ma'am, mom, dad, doctor. And I find that here in New Zealand mostly it's very informal. I mean, on a formal email you would be saying hi, or at the end of the email you would be saying cheers. And in South Africa, if you're writing a formal email, you would start it by saying dear say or dear madam, and when you end your email you would be saying kind regards Felicia, you would be very formal. Otherwise, I think it is very weird and it is perceived as being disrespectful.
Get it on, yeah. Do you like it, boy? Want.
The second thing I'm gonna talk about is working non-stop. So back home, productivity is king, to a point that you would feel guilty if it's a bit busy at work and you have to go home. Like instead you would help out first, whereas in New Zealand, when it's time to go home, like you would be told to like, no, go home, we got this, which is very unsettling. I'm still to learn that time to go home, it is time to go home. It is something that back home it is not done. Like, at least help out and then you can go home. And to a point that I've seen also with my colleagues, they would be taking vacations to like relax or not even doing anything, whereas back home, like, why are you just relaxing on a weekend? You must be doing something. Did you do a spring cleaning, Yana? Like, productivity is king at home.
What you want. Give it to me, baby, like.
The third thing I'm gonna talk about is saying yes to everything. So I would say back home, especially like in formal settings, I would feel guilty to say no. Like, I would feel very guilty. It basically felt like I'm being disrespectful to a certain point. So now, even when I would feel like, you know what, I'm drowning, I would literally just say yes, suck it up, and then move on. And eventually I'd manage to do whatever that is asked. Whereas here I would see people saying no without even flinching, and I'm like, oh my god. So this is regarded as normal. Like, if there's one thing about Kiwis, is that they have boundaries, which is nice. So people would go home on time and they would still be recognized as team players. The next thing I'm going to talk about is assuming that everybody understands my accent or my slangs. There is a lot of things that when I say, I confuse a lot of people from New Zealand, and I've learned to talk like simple language so that everybody understands what I mean and what I'm trying to explain. And also I've noticed that with some things that people would be saying, I would also be confused and wouldn't be understanding what they mean until they have to like explain in depth what they mean or refer to pictures. That's when I've been saying, oh, you know. And like also in South Africa there's a lot of names that we use, like we would know other names, like for example you would say, no man, I'm gonna turn left at the robot, and now somebody would be confused. A robot, what's a robot? And now you have to think back and be like, oh, traffic light. And then man, I was at that I want to put petrol konje, that garage man. And no, it's a filling station or a petrol station. And it's some things, it's like easy or simple things that South Africans, like, we just use weird names. And I've gone to realize that it's not only like the Africans, also like the white side of our people, like they would also be using the same names. So it's not just Africans, and or let me rather say it's not just black South Africans, like everyone in South Africa, we just use certain words and certain names for certain things that they're not really that. We just, as a country, have decided that we're gonna call it that, and that's that. And also with me, I would get confused a lot, but now I think I've adjusted the certain slangs that I've learned, though I know I don't use a lot of New Zealand slangs. But what was important to me is actually understanding what the next person means than anything else. The fifth thing I'm going to talk about is avoiding silence. South Africans, I would say we are very loud, and New Zealand people are very chilled, they are very relaxed. And I would be in a room and it would feel awkward being silent. But I feel like at my workplace we like playing music, so everybody feels weird when music is not played, like even people from New Zealand, which is a bit nice because now everybody would be saying, ay, please play music, it's too quiet. But now, like in the area, all in all, it's so quiet, it's awkward. Even on weekends it is so quiet. It's something that I'm not getting used to, and I don't think I'd ever get used to because I'm just used to loud music, especially on weekends. Like you would feel that vibe that, you know what, there's life. Even if you are in the house, you hear music outside, people playing, you know, people washing their cars because they're preparing for the weekend. Like there's movement, there's life. And here there's nothing, like crickets. But it's okay if you want to really be in a quiet place, you want to relax, get into your own head, and you know, think. It can really be a good space for you. But if you want a vibe, bona, on weekends feel like a normal weekday, and which is awkward. But I think I've learned to accept that. It's just that I get lost as to when it is Saturday. It would feel like a normal day because I'm used to noisy, I'm used to my kids running around outside, and I don't get that.
to me, baby, like boom, boom, boom. What I want.
The next thing I'm going to talk about is being defensive about being an immigrant. I remember, okay, my YouTube channel has been there for quite some time. It's just that I had to change my niche. But I decided that no, when I came here, it would be about like relocating here and adjusting to and adapting to everything. So like I posted the first video. It was like on Instagram and it got a lot of views, right? And it also got a lot of comments. Most comments there were beautiful, like you guys were amazing. But of course there has to be those few people that are gonna be negative, you know. You find people saying go back home, you don't belong here, you know, such negative and hurtful comments. But I feel like I've learned to accept that, you know what, I'm not gonna fight because I am an immigrant, you know. And to a certain point I felt like I had to prove myself that I had the right or have the right to be here. But I was just like, how as long as immigration knows that I'm here and I'm here for the right reasons, who am I to try to prove to everybody else, you know? If somebody's not gonna enjoy my content, then it's fine. Like, you're allowed to have your own opinions about me. And now a person would be looking at my skin color, like I'm talking about back the comments, the negative ones, and saying that, yeah, your people are this, your people are that, just because clearly I'm a black person. But I've learned to like avoid them and ignore them because honestly, I mean, there's always going to be those people, and honestly I don't have to prove myself to them because at least I know why I'm here, you know. And I'm not going to be defensive about it. But I've also noticed that most New Zealanders are not judgmental like about us. It's most of them, they would be like very curious, wanting to touch your hair, you know. And funny thing is, New Zealanders, they would be saying, are you from Kenya? Are you from Zimbabwe? Are you Nigerian? And I would get offended at the beginning and being like, okay, I'm not. But now I'm just like, no, I'm from South Africa. And I would talk about South Africa. And now I feel like also there's some that have a tendency of saying, oh yeah, do you miss home? Like, are you planning, would you ever go back? South Africa is my home and I'm not ashamed of South Africa. You know, home is a home. I'll always love my country. I'm here for my reasons, and if tomorrow I decide to, no, I want to go back home, I can always go back home. If I decide I'm gonna stay here for however long, I'm going to stay here, and that's gonna be that. So in a nutshell, I had to unlearn to constantly wanting to defend my identity. You know? Number 7. Not asking for help. I feel like in South Africa, we always toughen up, you know? Even if you would know that you need help, you would just soldier on and get it done on your own. Because I feel like sometimes somebody would help and then go and talk about you. Yeah, I helped this one, I showed this one this, you know, and in a bad way. I mean, if you're helping somebody out, I feel like if you want to say, no, I was helping this particular person with this, I feel like it's not bad. But I feel like sometimes it's a thing of now people would have vile intentions when they're helping you or when they are asking for help. So most people end up toughening up and doing things on their own, not even asking for help, even when they clearly need the help. So what I've noticed that what happens in New Zealand is that people expect you to ask for help if you need help. And I think that's actually a very nice thing to have. Because also I think I saw that mostly when I was moving into this place. There was a video I posted when I was moving a fridge, and there's a lot of people that were saying, no, you should have told me, you know. And I'm just like, Vele, I should have. Moving my bed upstairs, I was nearly because I did it myself. I did it by myself, and it was very heavy. I mean, there's a lot of things that people were willing to come and help me out with, and they would be saying, no, I remember a colleague of mine knows that I sew, so she was like, no, there's this sewing table that I saw. I wouldn't mind buying it on your behalf, and then I'll bring it to work, and then or I'll deliver it to your place. I remember when I was buying a table, another table, somebody was willing to bring it to my place with their car, because my car is very small. So people always are willing to offer their hand, which is very, very nice. Like, I feel like, especially coming from a country that would talk about Ubuntu so much, this place gets to show you Ubuntu in that way. I mean, of course, it took me a while to learn this. I've got this attitude. I still have it. I still have it. And I constantly fight that attitude. And my friends are also at war with that attitude of mine, because like they'll tell me straight up, hey Wena, like, I appreciate you, Fred and Lauren, you guys, chef's kiss, I love you guys so much. Another thing I'm going to talk about, the point 8, is the idea that rest is laziness. I always felt guilty when I'm not doing anything productive, more so because it's my personality, right? And I feel like also it's a thing of all other people would be busy, you know, when a person is telling you, oh, on my weekend I did this, and you're like, flip, I slept the whole weekend, right? But then you come to New Zealand, where now it's very slow paced. Someone will just be at home sleeping, resting, just went for a walk, or they have more time to go hiking, you know, because they just love hiking, not doing something really productive. And but I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I can't. I battle when I'm not doing anything. And for the past couple of weeks, chicken wing. Okay, sorry. For the last couple of weeks, I've been so slow paced. I wasn't productive, and I feel like it's been weighing so much on me, the fact that I wasn't doing anything. But now I'm back on track, and I feel alive. Like, I feel alive. But in New Zealand, if you're not doing anything, it's okay. It's not laziness, it's just called resting, and it is life. It's like that. You work and then you rest. And with me saying that, I'm sure my friend Tumi would be pleased to hear that, because I think she's an ambassador of resting. That lady, like, she won't panic. Rest my brother, rest my sister. And the last thing I'm gonna talk about is throwing things in one bin. My goodness, it's still very hard for me, it is still very hard. There's a bin for bottles. Like, if you're a wine lover, a cider lover, there is a bin for that. But I don't buy those. I've never used that bin. There's a bin for food discards. You can't even have a plastic, like, yo Jesus. So that bin, I used to like put a plastic and then throw in food so they can just take that whole bag out, but they kept on leaving my bin for like 2 weeks in a row, and now that thing had worms. It was smelling bad, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna lose the plastic. And there's a bin for that. There's a bin for recyclables, like. And then, you know, maybe there would be let's say a can that you can recycle. You must rinse it first. Like, yo, I find myself rinsing those things like my life depends on it. And then there's a bin now for other things, like the garbage, plastics, you know. Then the thing, I don't think they recycle those. And mind you, if now you bought a TV and you know it comes in that big box, that box, it's either you're going to cut it down so that it fits inside the bin. If it does not fit inside the bin, and you're going to just put it next to the bins on the rubbish collection days, trust me my brother, trust me my sister, you're gonna get that box there. They'll take the bin, empty the bin, and leave it. So now I think the rule is they're only going to take things that fit inside the bin. Kabanga. Yo, kabanga. Otherwise, if now you have all these big boxes, you must go to the landfills. I remember I had to go there twice because my boxes were too much, and I don't want to keep them in the bin, so that every 2 weeks now I can put them and squeeze them inside the bin. And now I hadn't bought a TV, so I think I bought my TV like 2 months back. The box is still in the garage. When I think about having to crush it and force it into the bin, yo, it gives me stress, because why do I have to do that? I'm supposed to be a princess. Oh, I'm supposed to be a princess.
Take it, baby, take it.
So in a nutshell, moving to a new country is not only about you learning new things about that country, but also it's you unlearning things that you used to do in your own country, because maybe they are not working out for you here. Some things I carried with me were very useful, and others not so much. If you're also an immigrant, I'd like to hear what you've also had to unlearn in your new country. Please drop a comment down below and let's chat. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share it with your friends, especially people that need a little bit of truth about moving abroad. And I will see you guys later. Bye friends. Bye Felicia. Woo.